Welcome, newly arrived staff and functionaries, to the Shivering Isles. Whether you arrived by portal, invitation, divine accident, or because you irritated the wrong librarian in the Arcane University, congratulations, you've made it. You are now a subject of Lord Sheogorath, Daedric Prince of Madness, Sovereign of the Isles, Keeper of the Fork of Horripilation, and the fourth corner of the House of Troubles. On behalf of the new Sheoth administrative staff, I'm here to provide a brief orientation, just a few technical details for your onboarding. First, and possibly most importantly, pay and benefits are determined entirely by our Lord's current temperament. I would advise against asking about them. The primary form of compensation is, of course, not being strangled with your own intestines, for which we are all very grateful. You are entitled to 1 day off per era, unpaid, and most staff use it during Greymarch. Check your calendar for the next scheduled apocalyptic event. Now, on to realm logistics. This realm is divided into two departments, Mania and Dementia. You will be assigned to one based on a mandatory psychological assessment, your wardrobe choices, and the outcome of the screaming match currently taking place in the assignment logistics. Mania is vibrant, euphoric, creative, and extremely stabby. They value expression, individuality, and wine with alarming side effects. Dementia, on the other hand, is introspective, methodical, paranoid, and also stabby, but with more poison and suspicious eye contact. You'll rotate between the two during your first month. At the end of that period, you'll be issued your color-coded robes and a formal alignment diagnosis. Please do not switch sides without filling the proper paperwork with HR. Any questions so far? Great question. Yes, there are rules. Even here, I know. It's pretty standard and probably what you already had in your previous realm. Don't kill, steal, or trespass. Any attempt to do so, unless sanctioned by the Mad God himself, will land you in prison. And sorry, almost forgot the big one. Do not attempt, under any circumstances, to grow a beard. That will land you squarely on the execution point within minutes. So, that's it for me. Wishing you a wonderful first week, and I really, really hope I don't see the throne room decorated with your insides. Welcome aboard.
Hi, thanks for having us. Although we're not entirely sure how we got here.
Indeed, very few people remember their lives before the Shivering Isles well, or at all. But it doesn't really matter, as you'll see shortly. Madness gives you a fresh start, so to speak. Just out of curiosity, are you stationed in Mania or Dementia?
Oh, I'm in Mania, but both the cameraman and the sound guy got placed in Dementia.
Lovely. Then you'll get to experience the full spectrum of madness. We usually recommend teams as well as families get split up across the realm. Oftentimes, it sparks interesting conversations and a deeper understanding of one another, which really brings people closer. Sometimes, though, it does spark fratricide, usually in people who never learned to communicate well. That's why our onboarding includes a mandatory module on interpersonal communication, taught by the etiquette advisor to the Duchess of Dementia. He communicates primarily through riddles and bloodletting, but he gets results.
And what are the best practices for onboarding people into the Shivering Isles?
Well, for one, it's very important that they unlearn reality really quickly, because things tend to be a bit different here than in Tamriel proper, which is where most of our citizens and employees come from. What we do is we have this buffer zone, so to speak. It's called the Fringe, and you've probably passed through it. It's very drab. Excellent for disorientation. We leave people there for a little while so they can acclimatize to the Isles. This is where they get used to the local flora and fauna and the social norms of madmen. Once they've shown signs of behavioral elasticity, Lord Sheogorath extends an invitation and they pass through the gates of madness into New Sheoth. From there, orientation continues across Bliss and Crucible, after which they are usually ready to assume their positions either in the palace or in the city. Unless, of course, you've been placed on the champion track. Then things get a bit more complicated.
How so?
Well, there's no adjustment period, for one. The champions are expected to pick it all up as they go along. Sink or swim, as they say. Then it's not enough to simply get an invitation and pass through the gates of madness. No, the champion must unlock the gate. The problem with that being is that the keys are in the care of the Gatekeeper.
Oh, we've seen the Gatekeeper. He seems like someone who wouldn't give things up so easily. Does the champion need to negotiate to get the keys or steal them?
Not exactly. You see, the keys are actually inside the Gatekeeper. So the champion needs to dispose of him, which, as you can imagine, is not very easy. What's more, it's exceptionally difficult. The survival rate on the champion career pathway is less than 10%.
But I understand you do have an active champion who made it past the Gatekeeper at the moment, yes?
Yes, actually, yeah. She got here just a few days after you did. She's great, but I do suspect that she ended up in the Shivering Isles entirely by accident. She seems more confused than the average newcomer. She came dressed in tight black armor with a hood and a dagger and introduced herself as the Archmage. She also keeps asking where the sigil stone is. It's unusual, but then again, this is the Mad God's domain. Nothing is that unusual. We got her sorted with some work-appropriate black finery, a cheese platter, and some pamphlets, and she seems to be adjusting well.
And how's Lord Sheogorath finding her?
I'd say he's very pleased. He sent her on a few errands so far, and she was mostly successful and uninjured upon her return. Most importantly, all of her internal organs remain internal, which around here is the clearest sign of high performance. Hi, great to see you again. I understand you had some questions. Yes. I heard you got placed on the Sheogorath's champion career path immediately upon joining. I can help answer any questions. Fire away. Right. So, in essence, that means you'll be receiving assignments directly from Sheogorath. There's quite a bit he needs addressed ahead of the next Greymarch, and I believe you've been earmarked for strategic support. The Greymarch is, a temporary leadership realignment. It's a bit difficult to explain. It's not a full CEO transition, it's more of a divine reset. The filing cabinets get rearranged, the palace is evacuated, and then there's usually a mad god on the throne again by end of day. That said, historically speaking, at least one department head, either Mania or Dementia, gets permanently replaced. Yes, you might need to actually get pretty involved with the succession planning for the department head positions. The rituals required are somewhat violent, but I'm not an expert. So just chatting with the lovely folks down at the church, they can give you pamphlets on this. Any other questions? Yes, great question. I think that might be relevant a bit later down the line. So let's go ahead and schedule another 90-minute check-in in about 2 weeks, and we'll cover what mantling entails, assuming you haven't started doing it accidentally by then.
What exactly are the Shivering Isles?
Excellent question. The Shivering Isles are a plane of oblivion governed by Lord Sheogorath, Prince of Madness, cheese enthusiast, and part-time god of HR violations. Structurally, the realm is divided into two departments. variants. One is Mania, which is vibrant, euphoric, and heavily medicated. And the other is Dementia, which is bleak, paranoid, and incredibly well staffed with whisperers. Together, they form what we call a bilateral dysfunction model, held together by chaos, mutual distrust, and one throne with questionable occupancy status. Time does not behave normally here. Neither do birds or policies. The Isles are populated by the locals, and don't ask what they used to be, knights made of order who hate creativity, and employees like myself who keep the realm running smoothly. People usually end up here due to a portal mishap, divine punishment, or exceptional performance. As for Sheogorath, he's our CEO, cultural ambassador, and an active workplace hazard. Every few centuries, he attempts to fire himself and replace himself with Jigalag, who is him, but gray and terrifying and fond of filing systems. This event is called the Greymarch, and it's the sole reason we don't plan anything long term. In summary, the Shivering Isles are a hostile work environment with no benefits. We don't get PTO, but we do get dramatic character arcs. Welcome. Hi all, and welcome to the new Sheoth Palace All Hands. I wanted to take a quick moment to extend a warm welcome to all our newcomers and share a few reminders and updates from the people team. So let's get into it. If this is your first week in the Shivering Isles, a reminder that completion of the Reality Unlearning module is still required. Check your employee portal. If you haven't done it yet, please set aside 15 minutes today to watch the presentation, preferably before your concept of time collapses. Next, we've recently added an internal organ retention clause to the standard contract template. No action required on your part. Just know it's now legally your fault if they leave your body prematurely. Thirdly, and this is going to be important for everyone, the Gatekeeper incident has prompted a full review of key storage protocols. We're exploring non-biological containers for critical access items going forward. Suggestions welcome, but not required. More information can be found on the designated Notion page. Fourth, the Greymarch is officially on everyone's calendars as a tentative strategic disruption. Please do not book vacations during that window. Do not refer to it as Grey Friday. And under no circumstances should you pitch Greymarch merch. We're still stuck with an entire storage unit of triple XL shirts that say, "I survived the second era Greymarch." No one did, so it's technically inaccurate. Finally, as you've no doubt noticed, Lord Sheogorath has taken a sudden interest in succession planning. If approached for feedback on departmental leadership, answer truthfully but euphemistically. We are not currently hiring, but as always, vacancies tend to manifest organically. That's it for me. Once more, welcome to the Shivering Isles. We're delighted you're here, and we're even more delighted that you can't leave. Over to you, Haskell.